Whether it be some enfranchised tournament grinder being a tit on Twitter, or your friend who's pretty casual but loses his fucking mind when you mill him, it's pretty obvious that Magic players get their panties in a bunch quite regularly. And this can be on a wide range of issues, some of which are legitimate and some less. And, well, they can be wide-ranging or they can be specific and esoteric and difficult to understand from the outside looking in. So in today's EDH 101, I'm going to help you to navigate the fucking minefield that is Commander Ettiquette. Some of the things you shouldn't do at a table of Commander, or how you can twist and change them and improve upon them for the good of your local playgroup. Or you can use some of this stuff to purposely ruffle some feathers like some sort of majestic Dennis the Menace. Oh. This video, much like every episode of EDH 101, is brought to you by Skillshare. They reached out to support me in helping newer players learn about their favourite hobbies, and that is what birthed this series, where I can teach you about social faux pas and things you should probably avoid doing at your local EDH tables. Don't eat the crisps and then touch the cards, you filthy fuck! Skillshare is an online learning platform aimed at helping people develop new or brush up on existing skills. I've been using it here and there to brush up on my Photoshop abilities and camera color theory and stuff, things that will hopefully contribute towards generally better content here on the channel. But the range of topics available is massive, from drawing to pet photography to animation and even ways you can boost your own productivity. The first 1,000 people to click through the link in the description below and in the pinned comment get a free trial with Skillshare. And after that, each month it's less than $10, which is, oh, it's cheaper than the collector's boosters. Sorry, I was reaching over to find a collector's booster that it's cheaper than, but then I realised I don't buy them because they're too bloody expensive. So at $10 a month, it's cheaper than one of those premium priced, not quite gambling collector boosters. And your Skillshare membership won't come out looking like a curved taco at the end of all of it. So what are you waiting for? The link's in the description below. Now with this list, I want to make it clear that some of these things even I do, because even a perfect, shiny, golden god like me can make mistakes from time to time. Although I am not actually privy to the rules of mere mortals like you, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. At number 5, let's talk about milling. Milling is the act of putting a player's cards, sometimes your own even, straight into the graveyard from library, not from hand, that's discard, not from play, that's destroying, and not from your trade folder, as that's probably cheating. The cards have to begin in the library and end up in the graveyard. So, if you wheel the table multiple times to ensure they all draw 30 cards, discarding them in like groups of 7, unable to utilise them because they're tapped out, this is like, it's like milling, it's like diet milling, it's quasi-milling. It is the Pepsi Max of milling.
Hello kind police officer, would you like some discount mill? Oh yeah, fucking wheel it you dirty little slut. Slurp slurp, give me that wheel stuff.
The reason this strategy is even viable in the first place as a way to attack your opponents is twofold. The first being that if you lose all cards in your library and you go to draw a card, let's say in the first card of your turn, you lose the game if you cannot physically draw a card. It's written into the rules of Magic. And secondly, it makes people froth at the mouth like some sort of raging brushwag. Not being able to draw a card is colloquially known as being decked or being absolutely fucked. And the people that get frustrated by mill and like are visibly upset by it tend to be newer players or players who have perhaps not played much competitive Magic. And that's not a value judgment from me. I'm not saying like playing competitive Magic makes you a better person, but I think it allows you to like see mill for what it is, which is it's a viable strategy, but it's not quite the heartbreak that people think it is at first. What happens is someone mills them for 4, let's say a Thought Scour, which is not a great card in Commander, and they put 4 cards into their yard from the top of their library, and they're like, oh fuck, I needed that swamp. And the next card they're like, shit, that was my best removal spell. Then their Ugin hits the yard and they're like, oh fuck, I bought that off eBay for like 20 quid. And then finally it's like, holy fuck, that was the bus ticket I need to get home. The reality is, what goes into your yard shouldn't matter because your deck is still full of spells and creatures and ways to interact with your opponent. So the focus on the things in the graveyard is a very like hindsight and very, I guess, negative way of perceiving the game you're playing at the time. In a truly philosophical turn I didn't think this would take when I was writing the script, but it ended up going that way. I think people need to focus less on the past and the things that are gone and focus on the here and now and the things coming in the future. Fuck. I'm right. But then again, I always am. Some of this might stem from the fact that you can block creatures in combat, or you can gain life back that you've lost, but having your favourite mythics and that 1/10 mana spell you probably should be playing in your deck, you fucking idiot, go into your graveyard is a lot more frustrating than that, because the ways to shuffle your stuff back into your library are fewer and far between. But having things go into your graveyard is not necessarily one big downside. Between things like Eternal Witness, or Crucible of Worlds, or Burial Rites, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, when your opponent mills you, they're enabling you, they're powering you up. It allows you to go off from your graveyard and you can shout, "Fuck you, bitch!" as you combo off from your graveyard. And when you do that, when you shout the "fuck you, bitch," then don't forget to dab. Dabbing is very important in this circumstance. So in short, it upsets people, so you probably shouldn't traumatize people. The spell traumatize. The real act of traumatization, I'm not even being sarcastic, don't do that. But yes, definitely don't traumatize people. Don't play archive trap just to shout "got 'em" as someone casts a demonic tutor. Don't do that. Don't put a Sword of Body and Mind on a Mirren Crusader and double mill people for 40 cards. No, sir, madam, or anyone not prescribing to heteronormative gender roles. You certainly shouldn't do that under any circumstances. Definitely not. And least of all, don't spell crumple or hinder or spin into myth a creature and then tunnel vision your opponent right down to that card while smiling like the cat that got the cream. The creamy. At number 4 we have land destruction. This one is far more reasonable for players and playgroups to get upset about than mill, in my honest opinion. Even your most seasoned CEDH or legacy veteran might get fed up if they're having their lands blown up in a way that makes them and only them not be able to play the game. It is generally accepted that taking one player off a land or two is mean-spirited, and it's the reason that if you and I ever play Commander, you should never wasteland my guy's cradle. Nope, that's mean and it's rude, and you should never strip mine my Urborg or my Cabal Coffers. No. That'd be really naughty. Look, Guy's Cradle doesn't even do that much. I spiked these on the secondary market in order to buy my second holiday home in Hull on purpose, sure, but my only regret with that whole thing and that whole controversy was picking Hull. It's a fucking shithole, and now I don't want to go there in case one of the residents bites me or something. Fuck you, Hull. But really, the only way to normalise land destruction or make it less mean-spirited is to blow up everyone's lands. It's the accepted norm in the Magic community. Don't strip mine that one friend's green source. Armageddon the board instead. Now people are going to get upset, but that's because they aren't used to it. It's just like the first time you drive a car. It's scary, it's a little bit daunting, you'll probably run over your neighbour's cat, but the more you do it, the less your neighbour keeps replacing that cat. And if your playgroup or local store get annoyed at Ravages of War, why don't you play Ruination instead? And when someone asks, "What the fuck are you doing, Vince? We've already told you," just ask them how many basic lands they're playing. I ain't got any time for that bougie jewels and shockland bullshit. Now there is a caveat to all this, and sure you have a game plan to follow up on. If you're going to blow up everyone in the table's lands, ensure you have a 37-37 Lord of Extinction. Is that the one I'm thinking of? The big mouth motherfucker? Or how about Rafika the Many carrying 3 swords, his entire League of Legends team on his back, and a shopping bag full of your favourite brand of McVitie's Jaffa Cakes? Why would I say favourite brand if I'm just going to say McVitie's? I'm not going to re-record that line. At least this way you can close out the game and everyone can start again in the next one. Alternatively, if you don't have something to end the game, bring snacks, perhaps cakes or sweet biscuits to your game night, and every time someone complains, console them with a lovely sweet treat. For extra style points, insert basic lands inside those cakes, so when people bite into them they get that land drop they so desperately need, the whiny fucking petulant shit. Number 3. Durdling. Durdling is the act of taking a load of actions but getting absolutely nowhere, extra points for taking extra turns whilst doing so. Durdling is the byproduct of one of 3 things. 1, you haven't thought your turn through, so you're just like fucking moving dials on your turn, you don't know what's going to happen. 2, you've taken a load of extra turns. Or 3, You've got so many moving parts in play that you don't understand and you haven't practiced your deck, and to be honest, that's excusable. No one's got time to practice shit. The first one is inexcusable. I've seen people put to death for less. I saw one man was pelted to death, stoned to death, with little D20 roll down life totals because he hadn't considered what dual land he was fetching up on his turn. Look, think ahead of your fucking turn, alright? I don't want a game that takes 6 hours. I'm not here to talk to people or to actually play Magic. The only reason I'm here is because I can't finish until the game is finished. And by finish, I mean come. I'm talking about come. Come. But of all those things, the thing that's really invited is multiple turns. Boy oh boy, do people in my local metagame love it when they see me cast a time stretch and then reverberate it. Better yet, last time I used a Soul Hurdle or a Crystal Shard or an Eternal Witness to cast multiple time stretches, someone at the table literally high-fived me and offered to suck me off. Maloku, Mystic Sanctuary and Time Walk, infinite turns, which people absolutely love to see. You love to see it, but it sprinkles in a load of 1/1. It's basically Splinter Twin, and everybody loves Splinter Twin, especially Twitter clout chasers who didn't actually play Modern back then. Or if the table thinks Thopters are cute, Time Sieve and Thopter Assembly is also infinite turns. Don't forget to dab. So durdling is bad because other people don't get to play the game. The only time it's good is when no one else is playing the game because you're taking all the actions. It's like a cohesive community effort where everyone else is in the same boat. They can just hate you for being the 1% of turn earners. Oh, don't forget to shout the word turn whenever you get a turn. Like this, ready? Turn whenever you add a turn. Because what you should have is a D20, and as you cast time stretches each turn, you should count the D20 up. Because then you can do this. You can go, turn! At number 2, we have chaos. People hate these kinds of effects with a passion, and again, rightfully so. Scramble Verge, confusion in the ranks, possibility storm, they can all make a messy game where agency is taken away from everyone at the table through the addition of RNG effects that are deemed and called chaos by the wider Magic community. Now, if you have a playgroup that doesn't like chaos and people are very vocal about the fact they don't like it when you cast Warp World, perhaps look to implement some more rules. Rule of Law, Winter Orb and Rest in Peace are all cards that essentially transform the game and set hard and fast rules. And look, if you don't set rules and you don't abide by the rules, it'll be anarchy. And we all know that anarchy is bad. Spice 8 says it's not, but what does he know? He's a fucking socialist. This rule setting is called Rule 0 or Stax, depending on who you ask. And when you go out of your way to make sure everyone is having fun by playing on a level playing field, or in the case of some Stax effects, not playing at all, again, it's about community. Thalia, Sphere of Resistance and Grand Arbiter are very good at making everyone's shit cost more, and if we all chip in and have to pay more, we can make the world a better place. Because that's why taxes exist, and that's what they're used for, unless you're America, because they exist because big guns go bang bang. Stop people searching their decks. Stop people drawing extra cards. And perhaps just turn off all mana rocks whilst you're at it. This slows everything down, granted, but then you all have time to spend arguing about whether or not socialised medicine is a good thing or not. And as any American who's never used the NHS will tell you, the NHS is terrible. Why would you want to use that? Number 1 on the list of things that you shouldn't do that upsets people is having a down-to-earth conversation about the game you're about to play. Magic players hate civil discussion. All they want to do is dunk on each other. They'll say the community is great, but they'll just go at each other on Twitter or Reddit or wherever. They'll argue in the comment sections of Facebook posts about, I don't know, which comment creator's a cuck or some shit. Somebody will say you're gatekeeping, in my case, because I said tap lands aren't great and you should avoid playing them if you can, whilst others will completely ignore larger creators' charity efforts just so they can dunk on them some more as well. A reasonable conversation with other people who are enthusiastic about the game that we all love is like kryptonite to some, if not all, Magic players. So don't do it. Avoid civil discourse about the game you're about to play. It can't end well. You should never, ever, under any circumstance, ever talk about the topics in this video with your friends. Because it's just not acceptable. Not in our community. It's just not possible. I do think that We just don't have the technology yet. You shouldn't be treating EDH as this fun, Monopoly board game-esque variant of Magic, because that's the talk of quitters and people that come second. You need to take that podium finish. You need to blow up everyone's lands, take 6 turns in a row, call your deck of 4 but turn 1 cast Vorinclex. And then when someone complains about it, during or after the game, saying they just didn't have fun, well, firstly, fun. What is that? Fun? But secondly, there was no way that could have been avoided. Conversation just isn't possible. Like I said, we just don't have the technology to do it yet. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I hope I've helped you to navigate the 5 biggest faux pas of our community. I'm going to summarise them now to make sure you can write down some notes and make sure you know what you're doing. Number 1, don't mill your opponents. Make sure you blow up all their lands. Number 2, it's only okay to durdle if you're casting Time Stretch at least twice. Once is okay, but it might upset some people. The second time round, it has like a nutrifying effect. Nutrifying? Basically, the second Time Stretch makes the first one feel less bad. Next up, we had Chaos. Don't give in to Chaos. Play stax. Okay? Like any good young American patriot, play stax. And lastly, avoid at any cost discussing the game you're about to play. It can only end badly. Like, people will start talking about things like fun and shit like that, and I don't know about you, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to crush my enemies. Thanks for watching.